Hey friends, and welcome back to another Magnetic Minute of Hope, your little Friday bit of inspiration and wisdom and insight to get you into the weekend, to give you some points of contemplation to take with you as we end another week. And this week, I want to talk about that messy middle, that space between the breakdown and the breakthrough, between the burnout or the dark night of the soul and the next evolution of your leadership. And I call this the void. You might have heard that term before. So what is this? What does it mean to be in the void? What is the void? The void is that in-between place. It's where the old version of you is gone, but the next one hasn't really, truly, fully arrived. It's that in-between space between the two, where clarity might feel just out of reach, where the next step feels a little foggy, where the how and the when start to shout louder than the why. And often we can become disconnected from the why because it just, the how and the when, we just want to know those so bad. And it's uncomfortable. And it's painful sometimes, and it's disorienting, and it's quiet, and it can feel lonely, and it can feel like you're out on an island by yourself trying to figure out life, which is a lot to take on. And yet this space is so sacred. And that's what I want to reframe for you today, because if we were to reframe the void as this place of pain and suffering and confusion, and rather than seeing it as a rite of passage, if we can see it as this place of feeling stuck to this space of our sacred becoming. Because if you're here, it doesn't mean that you're off track or you've done something wrong, or you're having a midlife crisis, although that's often what it feels like. It just means that you're in the cocoon. You're in the goo. And if you know anything about a butterfly becoming, or a caterpillar becoming a butterfly, you know, there's this really intense process where she's in the cocoon and there's this goo. And the goo eats away at her former self, and she emerges as this beautiful butterfly. That's what the void is. It's the cocoon. And there is no transformation that happens without the dark, that void, that shapeless space in between. It's not a punishment. It's not a suffering. It's a preparation. It's an initiation. You're being prepared. And in the void is where the wisdom and the lessons come that we get to take with us to the other side, because the reason the void feels so uncomfortable, what I believe is, your soul knows what's on the other side. Your soul knows what's waiting for you on the other side. And it's this anticipation. For me, that's the reframe. That's the other part of the reframe. It's this anticipation of what's to come on the other side. And there are some really valuable core soul lessons that only come from being in the void, in my opinion. And it's often about trusting without evidence, trusting that you're on the right path without the evidence. A lot of times it's about surrendering the timeline. I've talked about that before in one of these episodes of Magnetic Minute of Hope, surrendering the timeline and letting go of the when. Sometimes the core lesson is about listening deeper, tuning into your intuition, listening to the voice of God. Sometimes the lesson is about being okay with not knowing. It's letting go of control, which we've also talked about here on the show before. Being okay with the not knowing, not having zero control over the outcome and the when and the how. And then I think the core lesson for every time we go through the void is it's a letting go of old identities that no longer serve us. And that's what it's about. It's that phoenix rising from the ashes moment. And I know in my own void moments, I've learned to stop asking, how do I get out? Like, where's the out? Where's the exit? Like, where's the exit sign? And instead I ask, what's here for me? What am I here to receive? That's the question. That's the right question to ask. And I want to challenge you here that if oftentimes we can make it harder to go through the void when we're doing things like rushing to fill the silence, forcing an outcome, over efforting to try to create clarity, again, forcing the outcome, making decisions out of fear instead of trust to just make something happen. Something has to happen because we're uncomfortable in the stillness or the silence. How often have we done that? We just make really impulsive or irrational decisions, or just quick emotional decisions out of fear instead of trust that it's okay to slow down and wait. Sometimes we can distract ourselves from the discomfort. We disassociate from life, from where we are, by different things. It could be food. It could be exercise. It could be work. It could be relationships. It could be a number of things, but it's distracting us from the discomfort because it is uncomfortable to be in the void, the in between. And then oftentimes we think that something's wrong just because it's unclear. We think we made a wrong turn somewhere just because we don't know where the next step is. What's the next step going to be? So we think we've done something wrong. But I want to offer you this, that the void isn't here to hurt you or make you suffer. It's here to clear you, to strip away what you've outgrown and prepare your body and your nervous system to hold what you're calling in. That's the initiation. You're calling in something great. Again, your soul knows what's on the other side of this. But it's just a preparation to hold what you're calling in. You've asked for more. You've got to be prepared to hold it. So I want to end with this, some encouragement for you to really anchor this in. You might feel like you're lost. You might feel like you're stuck in a fog. I know that's the image that's in my head of so many times when I've been in this. And in a way, I still feel like I'm in this void of transitions and shifting that's happening. And it feels like a fog, like I can't really see what's on the other side. I know there's something there. Like, the ship is moving and there's fog and it's getting thinner, but you can't really see what's on the other side of the fog. But you're not lost. You're incubating, right? It's an incubator. There is life on the other side of this pause, on the other side of this void. Let this season be quiet if it needs to be quiet. Let this season be still if it needs to be still. Let it stretch you and shape you and soften you, because when it's time to rise, when it's time to get on the other side of it, when you make it through the fog, you'll know. And that's the point. That's the time where you'll be ready to carry all of it. So I hope this gives you some hope, pun intended, because your body and your energy and your evolution aren't problems to fix. They're portals to your next level of impact. So I hope this has given you something to contemplate, and I'll see you in the next one.